Smoke in my eyes, soot in my hair, cinders in my shoes. I'm watching the needle falling away and singing the 8th grade blues. Well, we're running late in the sorry state on 8215. She's overdue for boiler work and I can't get her the steam. With 1,000 tons of coal behind and the tender full of slack, my mate sent me to Coventry and he just won't answer back. Well, smoke in my eyes, soot in my hair, cinders in my shoes. I'm watching the needle falling away and singing the 8th grade blues. Now across the cab the driver sits and he's staring straight ahead. He's not spoken to me for 18 months since I started at the shed. He's drawn a line across the cab for each of us to stand, since he found I'd joined the NUR while he was an as-left man. Well, smoke in my eyes, soot in my hair, cinders in my shoes. I'm watching the needle falling away and singing the 8th grade blues.
When war broke out in September 1939, the London, Midland and Scottish Railway, or LMS for short, came across a problem. Due to the call-up, manpower was short and nearly all the LMS staff were required to, and chose to, take up additional work to cover for the losses. This was the same for the other 3 Big 4 railway companies. It was not unusual, for example, for a man to work up to 88 hours. This shift would include round-the-clock hours involving working through the night and amongst the blackouts. That's where Joan comes in. She's 18 and wants to follow her father with a career in the railways. Her father is an engineman and doesn't have to go to war. His brother, however, is a porter at the local railway station and has just joined the army. When drawing men out of retirement proved not enough, the LMS sought help from Britain's female population. Brilliant. Now Joan can join the railways just as her father does. But just what sort of work could she do?
When he comes home,
women played a most important part in the wartime activities of the railways. Over 123,000 of them were employed. Before the war, 26,000 were employed, mostly in clerical grades as shorthand typists, telegraph and telephone operators. During the war, their activities spread to many other spheres of manual and non-manual work. Heavy and light, dirty and not so dirty. The jobs they did were too numerous to show in detail. They carried your luggage, they moved your mail, announced your train over loudspeakers. That well-kept horse which drew the railway cart bringing goods to your door was probably driven by a woman and groomed by one. They issued and collected your ticket, collected, sorted, loaded and delivered your parcels. Women helped in the maintenance of locomotives and rolling stock. They worked on the permanent way. A railway depot making concrete sleepers was staffed entirely by women. There were architects and draftswomen, gas fitters, passenger train guards and motor van drivers, ticket printers, signal women. This female army was drawn from every walk of life. Tailoresses, shop girls, housewives, umbrella makers, waitresses and mineral water bottlers. One woman used to be a cowpuncher on the Mexican prairies. Another was a rubber planter in Malaya and became a motor tire inspector. Yet another was a manageress of a famous London restaurant, but became a porter and general factotum at a small country station. There were mothers, grandmothers and great-grandmothers engaged in wartime duties on the railway. There was a signalman 18 years old and a goods porter, great-grandmother of 66. there was a small army of women painters, old and young, and women crane drivers swung heavy loads with mechanical precision. Like their sisters in other industries, many railway women had husbands in the forces and homes and children to care for. Work did not finish at shift's end, but despite their domestic responsibilities, they carried on their wartime jobs with a fine determination, knowing that on them depended the turning of many wheels. Wheels of wagons and locomotives rolling over the iron road, bearing 1,001 necessities for the home and fighting fronts.
So not a lot then. Let's look at one at random, perhaps station announcer.
There's the North Britain coming in now. As the train's wheels come into each section, they make those big bulbs light up to show exactly where she is.
Train 9 platform 14 is in North Britain, 9:32 for Darlington.
We keep a record of delays, and whether it's a piece of coal in the points or an elephant on the line, down it goes in this occurrence book. And for those that can read between the lines, railway fashion, it's a chronicle of all the life and activity of this place, but not the only one.
Train now arriving at platform 14 is the 9:50 for Grantham and King's Cross. Train now calling. This is York. This is York. Train now standing at platform 14 is 9:50 for Grantham and King's Cross. A train for Rotherham, Sheffield, Derby, Birmingham, Gloucester and Bristol will leave at 10:03 from platform 8 south. Train for Chester, Chelmsford, Normanton, Wakefield. Train for Congleton, Markington, Sedley, Cotton and Hull will leave at 10:10 from platform 6. A train for Malton and Scarborough at 10:15 from platform 15.
The Bradford
Maybe not then. Okay. Many jobs that women undertook during the war were jobs previously taken up by men. Loco cleaners, goods and station porters, as well as signalmen, were already not important enough for men to stay behind for. In the loco shops, however, there was a new engine to be built, as this 1943 film shows.
Locomotives are the key to victory. Production of a utility engine is now underway at a works in Scotland. RAF loco busting not only draws the lifeblood of enemy transport, it raises a problem for us when we invade Europe. Designers working to Ministry of Supply orders got out plans for an austerity locomotive for use first on British railways, then overseas with the invading armies. Working to an approved design for an engine to haul 700 tons, it was found that in steel castings alone, the weight was reduced from 21 tons to 4. No less important in times of manpower shortage, the design saves 6,000 man-hours on every engine made. Old Robert Lithgow, 70, has been with the firm 43 years, and even he isn't the veteran here. Thomas Alexander is 76 and started here 60 years ago when Backy was Fortin's announced. Tommy Puan comes from China near Chongqing. He wants to be able to make engines to beat the Japs. All sorts of jobs on austerity locomotives are done by girls. It was a memorable day at the works when the first engine was completely assembled. It has the standard British gauge, 4 foot 8.5, but it can be quickly adapted to run anywhere on the continent. No time was lost before stoking up for boiler tests. One reason why these locomotives can be made quickly is that they're not built primarily for speed. Heavy haulage between 30 and 40 miles an hour is all that's wanted. When locomotive number 1 rolled out of the works, the Minister of Supply, Sir Andrew Duncan, was on the footplate. He had good cause for satisfaction. While Britain can turn out locomotives in plenty, Fighter Command and the Red Armies are taking crippling toll of Nazi transport. It's good to know that when the second front is open, the Army will have all the engines it wants.
That's it. Joan would like to help build the new War Department 280 8F class locomotive, which proved its existence as they lasted right up to the end of steam and were literally worked to death. Some have even made it through to the preservation era and are still working today. This enabled women to show us that they could easily do what the men can do and react to changes in time of national emergency. As Prime Minister Winston Churchill said,
"We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender."
He might as well have added the railways to that list, as the railway men and women's response was almost instantaneous and exceeded all expectations.
Open this finds you well. Nice, isn't it? Sergeant says I'm doing fine, a soldier and half. That's good. Here's the song that we'll all sing. It won't half make you laugh. Hold on, they're coming by. Oh, quick, Gert, open the window. What's the band?
In 1841, me corduroy breeches I put on. Me corduroy breeches I put on to work upon the railway, the railway. I'm weary of the railway, for Paddy works on the railway. In 1842, from Hartlepool I moved to Crewe, and I found myself a job to do, working on the railway. I was wearing corduroy breeches, digging ditches, pulling switches, dodging hitches. I was working on the railway. In 1843, I broke my shovel across me knee, and I went to work for the company on the Leeds and Selby Railway. I was wearing corduroy breeches, digging ditches, pulling switches, dodging hitches. I was working on the railway.